Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, and welcome to another NerdTube episode discussion. We're here tonight talking about Star Trek The Lower Decks, Season 3, Episode 9, Trusted Sources. This is the penultimate episode, and we got a lot to unpack this week to get ready to move into next week's episode. I'm your host with the most, Major Rage. To my right, I'm joined by my fellow Trekkie, Zam. How are you this evening?
I'm wonderful. I was going to come up with something funny to say, but I can't think of it right now. But thank you very much for hosting tonight, as you've been hosting every week. Much appreciated.
It's a pleasure to be here talking with you guys and discussing the episodes, and I'm happy to kind of lead the way for us. Below us is Commander Boone. How are you this evening, sir?
Commander Boone doing good, and Zam, that is a sign of old age if you can't think. By the way,
Yeah, fair enough.
I did
Yeah,
that every damn day.
flotation,
Yep,
flotation, and old age for sure. I'm embracing it.
there you go. Yeah, Commander Boone's doing good, and you, Mage, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Excited to talk about this episode.
Very good.
Um, a lot of stuff happened this week as far as your overarching story arc for the season. That was redundant. Um, what were your overall impressions? I enjoyed it, but was not super impressed. Zam?
Once
Commander
again, I
Boone.
like this. Once again, another excellent episode, as far as I was concerned, of Lower Decks. You know, the funny moments, callbacks, obviously to a previous Next Generation episode. One of my
Yep.
favorite ones actually, because it, there was no good answer to Picard's resolution, and it was basically tough love. And before I continue, I just want to quickly say hello to Cara Hughes. Cara, I we are with you regarding your disability. I hope whatever you go through, I know very little about it, you do get well and you do improve. And whilst you're with us, we always appreciate your time. She's also saying, Commodore Boone, hello there. Look forward to tonight. And Commodore Boone is with us tonight.
Yep.
And how the rest of you guys, and how are you as well regarding yourself, Mage? Because I think she's asking you too.
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, Kara.
Fantastic.
I'm
All
great.
right. So yeah, basically, I did like this episode. I like the twist at the. I like the twist at the end. I like the subplot was obviously more important than the main plot. The funny thing is that the design character of the journalist, there was something very familiar about her, but I couldn't really put my finger on it. Maybe was she supposed to look like somebody in particular? I'm not so sure. But yeah, it was a very good episode, and we're almost at the end of the season, and I already feel like we need a few more episodes to continue this story arc that's been happening. So yeah,
You just hit on one of my gripes, and we'll get into that kind of at the end. Um,
Oh,
Kara says,
uh,
"Well, I quite liked the episode.
oh
Love
yeah,
the callback to symbiosis."
there you
Yep,
go.
direct callback to that. Season 1, episode
Daniel Vance,
22.
welcome aboard. What's up?
Good
oh
evening,
yes,
sir.
I haven't watched much of Babylon 5 in my life.
I didn't think
You
about that.
know, aka poor man Star Trek. But nevertheless, sorry, I'm going to be shitting on people by saying that. Because I don't watch it, I don't mind shitting on it. But regardless, yeah, I know what you mean regarding this news
Mhm.
thing. I think I might have come across that in the other episode I have watched.
Made me think of The Expanse,
And
where they had.
Daniel Vance, for your question yesterday, how many times am I going to listen to this episode today? I listened 10 times and watched it twice.
Got us
Also,
beat there, Commander.
Well,
and you know what?
I got a nice
So,
headset that no one can hear the lawnmower or anything. I have people that calls me all day long and I talk to them, but no one called today, so I get to listen to Lower Decks over and over and over, and hopefully it's all synced in this big old fat head here. But
What were your overall thoughts about the episode?
It was a great episode. I liked the flashback to the next gen with Captain Picard, and I do remember that episode kind of vaguely because it's been a long time, about the people that was trying to sell the plants, and these guys are hooked on it even when the wars was over and stuff like that. But it was a great episode. I mean, it really brought back things that I used to watch the next gen years ago. I mean, it brought that back to me. So it was a great episode in my book.
She's the woman who has the archaeology booth, Petra something. Okay. Um, Fair enough. And Carl also says, yeah, I got Babylon 5, but the
Yeah,
Master
Carl, what's
5
up?
too. You know the reporter. But like regarding journalism, we have seen that in Star Trek in the past. Like
Yeah.
most notably was Generations, when they were going on the Enterprise B at the very beginning of the episode, and you had all of these journalists, and they had fucking Google Glass in their heads and shit like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I remember all of that. That was pretty cool. So journalism still going strong, um, in today's world, in the future, so to speak.
Yeah, and I didn't recall that scene of Generations until you mentioned it, but no, we have seen journalism before in the Star Trek universe too. But let's get down to the play-by-play. We start off with the captain's log as usual. The Cerritos is on a planetary follow-up, and they're on their way to Ornara, the planetary and follow-up initiative that Captain Freeman has been advocating for has finally been approved and is getting underway. Um, their first mission is to go to Ornara, and like we've said, that's a callback to season 1, episode 22, Symbiosis of the Next Generation, and one of Next Gen's kind of early on,
Yep.
tough, no good answer, ethical discussion episodes, and
That was
really
season
got
one.
season 1, yes sir, because
Wow, that
Tasha
was
Yar,
Mm.
Tasha's there.
oh, I
She gives
vaguely remember
Wesley,
this.
yeah, she
I
gave
mean,
Wesley the speech about drugs.
Yes.
because honestly, that's one of the better Star Trek episodes in my opinion. Like it was the Star Trek morality and all of that sort of stuff. The Starfleet not trust its journalists. Then, well, I don't think anybody really does. In our capitalistic world that we're living in today, like journalism is about just getting clicks and making money and
Mm-hmm.
sensationalism. I'm not sure
And
what it would be like in the future when money's not on the card, but sensationalism probably still is an important thing. Being popular.
Mhm.
yeah, and this episode, really, I think it had a commentary subtext to it about journalistic integrity. She used spin and out of context clips to paint the captain and the Cerritos in a poor light. And it almost seemed intentional. She kind of was looking for something like that from the get-go. And I
Mhm.
think, that it's a lot like a proper Star Trek episode to have some sort of context, and subtext about a real world issue.
The pie eating contest is a badger breaking bad Easter egg. I'm not sure if you mean Breaking Bad about the fucking crystal meth Breaking Bad, but
Hmm.
yeah.
Mm.
And one more comment and then we'll talk through the breakdown before we go back to the comments. It's where she waved goodbye at the end of the episode. If you look quickly, never like Tasha's moralistic drug talk. In my opinion, it never works.
Mm.
Fair enough.
Um, so they get a call from the admiral. If this project is successful, it's going to go California class wide, and all of their second contact missions, will be more frequent and going to planets that haven't been seen recently. She's been speaking about this since season 1, I do believe.
Yeah.
But when she finds out the reporter's coming, she goes on the warpath and just one of my favorite gags of the episode is Dr. Tana going, "Oh shit, she's serious!"
You're
And
serious.
everybody runs out,
Get the hell out of here. She's serious. Let's run.
and
Yeah.
we cut to credits there.
Nope.
Uh, the shuttle arrives with the reporter. This sets up, starts one of my favorite parts of the episode or aspects, and that's how great the CG looked this week and like kind of the visual direction. The CG looks really good without, sticking out. It's kind of so in line with the rest of the art style of the show that it blends in and kind of just feels natural. What do you guys think?
I've always been impressed by it personally. It's animation at the end of the day, so it kind of blends, animation, CG, the way it melds into each other. One is the other, because theoretically CGI is glorified animation in the day, isn't it? So it's so it's very hard to when you see it as much as we have now. We're almost 30 episodes in. You just get used to it.
We're used to the Cerritos model, but this week we
Yeah,
get to see some different ship models, and they obviously put a lot of love into those.
yeah.
Hey,
And it's a
bud.
tall order to make 2D and 3D fit together. Oh, who's that, Commodore?
Mr. Pete says hi.
Mr. Pete.
Mr. Pete.
Oh, Doggo on the stream. Extra likes right off the rip, Doggo. So we get the exposition, and like we've talked about, this, Picard came here and he stopped the drug trade between the planet that was dependent on this medicine that stopped being medicinal long, long ago, and their sister planet who were like pushers in, a drug morality play episode.
Now I remember, like I was watching Jessie Gender's review of this, and she showed some clips of that particular episode, and one of the actors played the helmsman of Khan in the Wrath of Khan. I'm not sure if you picked up on that, if you're aware of that. Yeah,
I'm
he dies actually when they take down the shields of Khan's ship, and they blow the shit out of it at the top of the top part, and some debris falls down. It kills his helmsman. So, but yeah, he was one of those guys as well. But just overall with this episode, what I liked about that episode was obviously the morality of it. People don't know these are sister planets, and one planet is dying. They give the other planet had the cure. They give them the cure, and the cure ends up healing them. But then they get addicted to the cure, so they still think that they're sick, even though they're not sick. They're just now suffering from withdrawal symptoms.
mhm.
And that's when Picard comes up with the idea that, you know what,
Yep.
you're not sick anymore, but you are addicts, and the only way to get off this is by not taking the drug anymore. So it was tough love,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it has been 17 years since they last visited that planet. So they're doing second contact after 17 years, which seems to be a very incompetent thing of Starfleet to do, considering what this fucking planet had gone through.
I think that's part of the joke of this episode overall. The fact that they come in, make radical changes to a planet or system, and then just ride off into the sunset, in Western fashion. It was originally a space Western, but no. And, they're picking fun at the fact that a lot of times the long-term ramifications aren't really thought of, and, they do just leave without seeing things through. And I think that's a really good touch, not just a specific member berries callback to an episode, but kind of following in the spirit of the episode, having a social commentary and, making a gag about the series as a whole, multiple types of episodes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So the captain doesn't want to look like a fool, so she orders Ransom to make changes to the duty shifts to keep our lower deckers kind of out of sight. It's kind of inspired by Mariner coming down the hall covered in
Steve Ryan
pie
was it?
juice.
Keep on working.
Hang on. Thank you very much, Ryan.
Yep,
Much
appreciate you
appreciated.
coming by and your support, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
Next time, quit your job and just watch our stream. So thank you very much.
Wow. Hey, hit that thumbs up too.
Yeah, thumbsy up.
Kara says, yeah, I remember thinking that that's a bit irresponsible of Starfleet leaving a planet in such a state. Yeah, it's something I've, poked fun at with various people I've watched the show with before. Daniel Vance says, changing duty shift. That's a real Jellicoe move.
Yeah, could be. Yep.
Go to 4-shift rotation, Riker. But no, I don't want to get into it, but I've got a whole topic for a discussion vid about that episode. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see that down the line with all our other great content, the wide variety that we, put out here at NerdTube.
Lots of great content. Come on. Great stuff.
So the captain ends up walking by the bunk cubby that the lower deckers live in, and she basically sends them to bed, cutting their lights off and everything.
She also sees Mariner covered in pie as well.
Mariner's covered with pie there, and then offers to give the reporter a tour while she's all disheveled and unprofessional looking.
But the funny thing is, she's leaving a trail of pie everywhere she goes. There's pie footprints and pie stains. It's that is one hell of a pie. I mean,
that's a great gag. It really was.
Yeah.
And it gets some value down the line in the episode too. So when the lower deckers, they act reasonably disappointed, but they head to, get ready for the pie eating contest they're all excited about. They find that it's been canceled by orders of the captain. We get the awesome scene of them being so sad. Rutherford's basically having, pie withdrawals, ends up begging for the guy to stun him.
He starved himself so you could do the pie. And
Tindy worked on unhinging her jaw, she said.
Oh, man.
It's a commitment to winning a pie eating contest and showing up ops.
Oh, God. Yeah, yeah.
So does that mean she can shove the whole pie in her mouth if she dislocates her jaw?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, that was hilarious with Rutherford. There's replicators everywhere. You'll be fine.
I laughed when I kept hearing that. I dislocated my jaw just for this, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
Just but the officer as well is he reaches for his phaser, don't fucking come any closer. Don't get near those pies. And even though you also felt sympathy for the ensign as well, but that was just absolutely hilarious.
I loved it when the jokes they take things to the extreme and have hyperbolic jokes. I feel like it adds a unique charm to the show. They do that consistently.
Yep.
So we cut to scenes of the reporter interviewing various crew members. Ransom acts sleazy during his, of course. We get some good value out of that repeated joke through the episode too.
I thought Rutherford expanded his stomach size, and yes, when Cindy said she's been working with it as well, I thought, does that mean you can eat 2 pies at a time? This is such an American thing, but we don't have this in the UK. We don't even have food eating contests in the UK like you guys do. So yeah.
It's a weird concept for sure. I've never got it. So the lower deckers try to head to the bar to kind of ease their sorrow with some synthahol, and they find that it's closed, been converted to commander's quarters or lounge or whatever, and that only people approved on the list can talk to the reporter and get interviewed.
Freeman, she made sure she put a security guard on point to make sure that the lower deckers weren't going to fuck it up for her.
She's trying to control the narrative, absolutely.
They saved the day so many times, but she still thinks of them as incompetent fuck-ups. But yeah, fair enough.
Wow.
And as we keep
Mainly Mariner, though. Yeah.
especially Mariner. I was just about to say that. And she vows that she is going to talk to the reporter and she's going to tell him the truth, Um, so when we arrive at Ornara, the captain, Ransom, and the reporter, also Jet, a lower decker that she's not embarrassed by, apparently, they beam down to the planet. Um, and we get this, great payoff of the joke about Picard just kind of leaving them high and dry. Everything seems peachy keen at first, and the captain's like, "No, wait for it." And they went through hell for about 10 to 14 of the last 17 years.
Yep.
But now it turns out that they're a fitness obsessed society, and Ransom immediately tries to, get to common ground. Probably not trying for diplomacy, but just trying because that's Ransom, not thinking about it, wanted to talk about how much he can lift, bro.
How much can you lift? I can do 250.
Yeah.
Do you even lift, bro?
He was a bit creepy. He was a bit creepy today, Ransom. But anyway.
Yeah, no, and they don't want any help, and this starts making the captain worry. The reporters, obviously unimpressed. They're on this mission that's supposed to be important, and it's completely unnecessary.
Well, it's second contact, and like this is where I would use my. I know they're going for laughs and jokes because this is the sort of show that does that, but diplomacy, like I would explain to the journalists, look, obviously what Picard did was very good because then the people were able to resolve their own issues themselves, and now we've come back to this planet to visit them. As you can see, everything's a lot better now.
At
So
least
we've
they
done,
know.
yeah. So
But it
yeah.
would have been much more important for them to come back earlier by this point, I
Yeah.
kind of see the
Well,
reporter's point.
I like the way that Freeman also said, like, there may be some sort of skullduggery with a veil of, with something going on underneath the veil, so to
I
speak.
like the
Maybe,
call to the episode where that
yeah,
planet thought the devil came back to,
yeah, that's one of my
take
favorite
control of the
episodes.
planet. I love that
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah, and I've been ever since Picard said, you're a flim flam artist. I've been using that for people like Alex Jones and those sort of fuckers, calling them flim flam artists.
You're a flim flam, man.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, I love that phrase.
Yeah.
Love that
So
phrase. Yeah.
the captain snatches the camera out of her face, goes, pretends to be making an important call and contacts the admiral, asks him what to do, cites that Picard did his job well. The admiral sends them to the sister pusher planet to check out what things are like there. Maybe, things are worse there than they are here, since their entire economy was based around providing the drug.
For a whole planet. You see, this is what pisses me off sometimes. Star Trek and Star Wars does this. Like, we live on planet Earth, and we realize that not one particular product could ever run an entire economy. Not oil, not anything. Yeah.
Yep.
To the fact that one drug runs the entire fucking economy of an entire planet, it just seems absurd.
It is. It's the name of the trope is the planet of hats. Where things are, kind of uniform across the entire planet and allows for easy storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Damn right, Cara Hughes. All people of his ilk, Tim Paul and all these motherfuckers, Matt Walsh, Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Flim Flam artists. I don't want to get too political. I do apologize.
Ready then.
So there's even more Ransom being gross at kind of the end of this scene where they're talking to the Ornarans and such. We cut to Mariner, and she catches the reporter in the hallway and offers to give her the real scoop about the Cerritos, and they walk into a room, but Ransom sees it.
Mm-hmm. Sure does.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
So we get an act break, commercial break here. Afterwards, the Cap is getting grilled by the reporter, and we're meant to think that it's because of whatever Mariner said. She thinks the ship is, quote, silly. They do more of the thing that they've been doing all season, where they're very self-referential to themselves. She starts going down a list of the misadventures and mishaps, at things that happened to various crew members or the captain herself did. You know, um, so Mariner gets called to the captain's ready room, and the captain is furious, and they get in this awful fight. And Carol is just so cold to her daughter to the
Yeah,
point where she says that she doesn't know if she can call her daughter anymore. This scene was brutal, and
was.
I
Well,
I they
we all thought though. We all thought that Marinus spilled the beans. I mean, I
mhm.
did.
They
You
did a
know.
really great job of making us think
Yeah.
that, and I mean, it
Hmm.
would be very much like her to be, well-meaning, but accidentally make the ship look bad by
Yep.
not slowing down to think about the things she's saying and sharing. They did a great job of making an in-character type thing happen, but then giving us, you know, she was her own red herring.
Mm.
Thank you, Kara. She was. I mean, well, that's because she obviously thought the worst of her daughter, and she jumped to conclusions,
Hmm.
and the thing is, the whole ship fucking hated her. Apart from
At the
obviously,
end, yeah.
apart from her three mates, everyone, even her girlfriend, fucking hated her.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
they all fucking hated her.
those were some rough scenes, and
Yeah,
I think it's very honest to show family being in a, really
Hmm.
knockdown, drag out fight and saying the things that nobody else would dare say to you, and goes like cuts to the quick and calls you out on, in a precise,
Yep.
just surgical manner. And that was very authentic writing right there. Um,
and she goes to Starbase 80, doesn't she?
she
Ooh,
does get
no,
Yeah.
transferred to Starbase.
no,
You're not my ensign, my problem, and I'm not even sure I can call you my daughter anymore, the captain says.
not Starbase 80.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah, Cara. Actually, funny enough, Jessie Gender, I like referring to her all the time. She also mentioned that she realized there was a twist to play.
Mhm.
I guess some of us, and obviously with you being in that situation, I can understand you seeing it from a different perspective. So yeah, even I've been in that situation, so I'm surprised I didn't notice it myself. So I know where Marin is coming from, like
Yeah.
being like misunderstanding and so on. I know
Yeah.
what it's like. So I'm surprised I didn't pick up on that myself. But then again, we have seen Mariner just go absolutely crazy on, be very
Hmm.
rebellious. But it, it's different though, isn't it? Like people, you know, like she's not into pranking. That's not what she does.
No.
She's not a prankster. So this was out of character for Mariner if they thought it was what she was doing. So
See, I read it as her mom thought that she, even though she meant well, she just said too much and didn't think things through. And that's very in character for Beckett to just kind of act without thinking and speak without thinking.
yeah,
Yeah.
just so you know, we will give our votes at the end of the stream, but there is a poll already in the chat. So give us your thumbs up regarding what where you find this episode. What was your personal rating? Probably because I wrote a fan fiction. I feel free to dismiss me. I don't mind. And Mariner just ups and leaves because she had enough. Yeah, I know what that's
Hmm.
like. I think we all. I think at some point in our lives, especially if we're people always fighting against the wind, so to speak. And I think a lot of us can, a lot of this us three can definitely vouch for that. As well as yourself, Cara. I'm
Hmm.
not dismissing you at all.
No,
But
absolutely. Wouldn't we
yeah,
really admire people who make fan content here at NerdTube? I
yeah.
mean, we do honest but fair uh, fan fiction or fan film reactions, actually. So that sounds like something you'd be interested in. Make sure to check them out.
But just regarding where Mariner just ups and leaves because she had enough. I know what's that like. There's people in my
Hmm.
lives who I just upped and leave because I had enough. And you know what? I feel a lot better. But then again, at the same time, I've been the person people have upped and left. And I feel like I think, damn, what have I done to do that to somebody? So I've
Yeah, it
been,
feels.
Yeah, I've been on both sides, so to speak.
They're
Yeah.
rough in two different ways, but
Hmm.
pretty rough, both of them. Um, so, like you said, the whole crew is mad. Jennifer gets mad. There's an implied breakup there. Mariner's whole world is falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, her her friends run into her as she's packing up her stuff from their bunk cubby, and she doesn't even want to say goodbye. She talks about how many different times she's been kicked off of ships and she's used to it, but it's obviously hitting her really hard. Um, so she ends up leaving for Starbase 80 with the kind of burnout stoner crew members from there on the shuttle. So what did you guys think about the gag with his sandwich falling out of her uniform?
And I know, like, as far as I was concerned, Starbase 80 was
Funny.
just, it was like basically a starbase in the asshole end of nowhere in space.
They've been
But
playing it
but
up like that all season, that it
but to
sucks.
have a rust bucket ship, everyone's wearing plain Jane uniforms. You
Oh,
know, it's they really made it come across. I mean, like the guy's fucking sandwich was hiding in Mariner's uniform. Oh god, like, no wonder she fucking resigned. I
Yeah,
would have
no,
probably resigned myself,
they
So
cranked it to 11 with their
oh
depiction
man.
of Starbase 80 after letting us like unhype it in our heads all season.
my story was that she just walks away and goes to and she's going to change her name to Marin, and Ben sent me adopting her as his
Mm.
daughter. Oh, okay, you actually wrote a story. Lovely.
She says she wrote a fan fiction. That's
Oh
really
yes, she
cool.
did. Yeah,
That's why I segue to what we do.
I just wanted to say screw Marin's girlfriend for believing Mariner. We'll talk bad of the crew. You're better off about her, Mariner. Oh, she did shit talk
Her
Jen's
friends
her
to her in
friends.
front of her.
Yeah, to a degree, and she's very opinionated, but it was a misunderstanding, and it happens, mate. It does happen.
Yep.
These misunderstandings. It happens with people you love, even.
Yeah.
You know, so but yeah, I mean, obviously, it seems to make sense once we realize. But even I thought Mariner had shit talk people, and watching it a second time, you could see how well this episode was done. Like, you realize shit, Mariner was like wondering what the fuck's wrong with everyone, and it made sense. What the fuck was wrong with everyone?
hmm
So but yeah, they jumped to a conclusion, and Jen obviously like hearing secondhand information. As far as she's concerned, like she doesn't realize that um, Freeman is just jumped to a conclusion. That's her captain. She's listening to her, So yeah, Anyway, I apologize.
No apologies needed. We're here to discuss it, not just give a play-by-play. I
Yeah.
But
no, I
but
appreciate you guys jumping in anytime.
but was it Mariner's fault? That remains to be seen. We all know the answer down the road, of course, but I will find out.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll get there. We get this poignant scene though, where Boimler he asks the captain what her orders are. He's working a shift at the helm, and she sends him to resume the course to Braca.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, absolutely, folks. Click the poll, and we want to
Yeah.
hear all of your thoughts about the episode too. Um, so after the act break, they arrive at Braca. Uh, the away team heads down. It's all senior staff this time.
Mhm.
And the reporter Miglamo is given the con and
Oh,
immediately orders Boimler to call his Meemaw.
Mama,
Um,
that was
get
so
mama,
stupid, but I
get
liked
mama
it
on
at
the
the same
main
time.
screen now.
I want her to see me, in the captain's chair and shit like that. So stupid, but fair
no,
enough.
it's a nice expansion to his character, but I mean, we see him so little. It's nice to get more of an idea of what he's like, and the wanting to impress his mother type is
Yeah.
very in line with what we've seen already from the character.
Well,
down
everybody's like that, right? Everybody wants to please their mom. I mean, I did.
right, but
I'm
we
like,
don't
hey,
all
mom,
call her on a
Dad,
video chat while we're at work.
mom, guess where I'm at? I'm the captain today. It's about time.
Yeah.
Um, so on the planet, it's obvious that something is amiss. They
Yeah.
all split up. Ransom
Was it the?
sees
Can
one of the
you just remind
citizens.
me? Can you just sorry? The two planets. Did we ever go on those planets in the Picard one, or was everything on the Enterprise?
I think everything happened on board the
Yes.
Enterprise
On
And
board
we
the
never went to
episode.
we never
I
went to
mean,
either
season
planet.
one, the budget's lower.
Yeah, fair enough. But you know what they did with? They would just have little stages, wouldn't they? Like they had with that fucking swap, that black tar monster and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
They just had stages. But okay, fair enough. It was good to go
Uh,
on the planet, so I was very happy about that.
yeah, it's nice to see them finally.
Yep.
Um, so he sees this woman who's telling him to not come any closer and to leave get
Leave.
like disintegrated by a Breen soldier. It turns out they're occupying, if not the
Yes.
whole planet, this city. Uh, they have kind of a firefight. They get emergency transported out, but three interceptors quickly close in on the Cerritos and start giving it a pounding. The
I was getting
shields,
Kalon vibes from Yorville, from the
yeah,
Breen,
Mm.
and uh, and the Breen had always reminded me of Doctor Who villains for some reason, and the
they're
look of
very
them as
much
well.
like a Doctor Who monster for sure.
Hmm.
And do you
You know,
remember in
Interesting.
Return of the Jedi when Princess Leia was in disguise as a bounty hunter?
yeah, as Bosch.
Yeah, they look like the Breen. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
no, I've always thought the brain looked
Yeah.
like that.
yeah, yeah. So yeah,
That's perfect analogy. That's a perfect call out.
yeah, it even
Uh,
sound like that. So
no, but
even yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I feel like this whole sequence um
Yep.
was really
Was.
good, Kara, to see the Breen again. I thought
Yes.
so too.
And it's like
Yeah,
we just know that the species are known as Onarians and Breckons. Yeah, sounds like breakfast cereal.
But
make sure
but
to get
have you ever wondered what is behind that Breen mask? Have you ever wondered that? I always wondered that in Deep Space Nine. What is really behind that? Those guys never took their mask off for anything.
Yeah,
no.
and you know what?
I mean, it kind of seemed implied that they couldn't breathe the atmosphere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but tangent
Uh,
station.
uh, we never found out what happened to the people on
No.
Brecker.
No, we
Breckons.
never did.
And
I mean,
yeah,
obviously, if they ended up getting invaded and occupied, things did
by the
not go
Breen.
well for them after their economy collapsed.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah.
The Breen took over the planet.
Thank you, Kari. Yeah, definitely. They definitely resemble the bounty hunter Princess Leia played in
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi. Yeah, for sure.
There you
So
go.
yeah,
but
yeah, it was a good scene.
Yeah.
no, I feel like the direction was really good. The action, was from good angles. They were dynamic. It made it feel like a really exciting fight. I mean, when things start going downhill, they manage to keep up the tension, even though there's going to be a Deus Ex Machina, some ship coming to save the day.
Kari wrote a fan
Keep
fiction with
Anthony
cats
Goodman.
underneath. Oh man, are we talking like the Doctor? Those sort of cats, or
Yeah,
like
there you go.
The nun nurses.
maybe like they're in the helmet and they're like piloting it. Like the bodies.
Like Men in Black.
Well, yeah. Were the Cybermen like that as well in Doctor Who? Were they powered by little people, or were they actually
No,
just
no, the
robots?
Daleks
The
are
Daleks,
piloted by little
yeah,
people, and they're
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
the machine
Experiment.
casing's a
God, I haven't watched
Dalekanian
Doctor Who.
tank.
Haven't watched Doctor Who in decades. Wayne comments that the Breen planet is actually quite temperate, making
Yep.
one wonder why they wore refrigeration suits.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's more. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I
But
don't know.
yes,
Weird
at
Trying
the
to find
species.
an answer for everything.
end of this gorgeous sequence, we get the Deus Ex Machina we all knew was coming, and this ship, sleek, small, big guns, just destroys the spread of photons that are coming at the
Pew
Cerritos.
pew 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 pew
Steve
pew.
move from what that the Marine just did. Uh, dismantling the ships, protecting the Cerritos, and saving the day. When the captain tries to hail, uh, you know, an officer, comments that there's no life signs on board to answer the
Mhm.
hail. They get a call from Admiral Buenamigo, uh, and he informs them that this is the new Texas class unmanned drone ship
Man.
that Starfleet has three of
Oh
apparently.
That's
man, can
real.
we stop naming all these ships after goddamn states in America? Seriously, seriously, I was starting to get really frustrated. Like, can't we call it the Wellington class and name it after a city in New Zealand? You know what I mean? Why can't we do that? You know, or maybe we can call it the Tanzania class and name it after a country in Africa. You know, but no, we have to fucking call it the Texas class. Jesus. Sorry, I apologize.
Oh, I agree. It's a silly and
Yeah,
U.S. centric kind of naming convention, and it's a
yeah.
Okay, so let's
Starfleet's not just international; it's multi, planet.
yeah. So let's call the ship the Zammer class ship.
I wish it was, but I didn't get that far. Regarding fan fiction on the Breen,
Yeah.
unfortunately her work got destroyed. But is anyone suspicious about Admiral Boomer Mate?
Hmm.
What the hell his name is?
No, it seems like this
Kinder
is a
Bueno.
setup.
Yeah.
He was there way too quick,
Well, no, no, but
or the ship was.
yeah. Well, I mean, he was there to inform them that this is a drone. So like, we won't need you anymore, Starfleet, because we're gonna go full drone. Um, even though you always need people for
Hmm.
everything. Admiral, good
Yep.
friend, love his name, but I don't trust him at all with a name like that. And no, me neither. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Yeah, nice
Yeah.
looking ship. I mean, are you able to still board a ship like that? You know, is there living quarters on it? Even though
Would there be
it's
life support?
yeah, exactly. Like you would have to have all of that stuff there because that ship should be able to it should be capable of rescuing people if need be and on the other occasion, you know, and so it needs to be capable of of having people on it.
It had a design very much like a Defiant class ship.
Yeah.
So you would think
Hmm.
that it would still, be oriented in a way or configured in a way that would accept passengers and maybe a skeleton crew.
You would think so.
Old Danny says that the ship is totally getting scrapped in a couple of years when Mars is attacked by the synths. Oh, we're talking on Picard, huh?
Hmm.
Fair enough. Oh yes, yes, because they get concerned with AI. Um, So did the Admiral want her to fail at a second contact to keep her on the Cerritos, or was it something else? No, no, no.
Interesting.
You guys are speculating now. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, we're in the realm of speculation.
yeah, we don't know. Like we don't until we find out he is a bad guy. We 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 could be going down a rabbit hole here, which we don't need to go down. With you know, as far as we're concerned, that he was the one who saved them with
Mhm.
the drone ship. So yeah.
Don't go down the rabbit hole. You might not come back out. Remember that.
Um, so we cut to the reporter's terrible biased piece um, of it makes the captain look incompetent and calloused. It reveals that Beckett wasn't the one who you know spilled the beans or made the Cerritos look bad. It was
Hmm.
all the approved interviewees,
Hmm.
just unintentionally giving this woman ammunition to take out of context and present on her sensational news program. And unfortunately, that's something that's it's not unrealistic.
Right.
Well, well, the thing is, like, it went that way simply because they exiled Mariner, who talked well about the ship. So
Mm-hmm.
everyone was shitting on the ship, or even though they were shitting, but there's not. But look, like you know, like this is Starfleet. Like every vessel that the television program is focused on is going to go for adventures. Whether it be
Hmm.
Discovery, Voyager, the Enterprise A, or the Enterprise, or the Enterprise D. They all go for adventures.
Yep.
This is not unheard of. For this sort of shit to happen. So for them to have a go at Mariner regarding some of the things is, I think, sorry, Freeman is a bit sad. But then again, because Freeman jumped to conclusions, it made her look like a hostile person to work under after what happened to Mariner.
I
Yeah.
mean, I've never been impressed by her character. And, it's just she's taking it to 11 this week, but she's she doesn't seem like a good captain or a good mother. And, you know,
Oh man,
she's she's narcissistic. Everything's about her. She wasn't worried about the mission going well. She was worried about looking bad in front of a reporter to the point of being callous to her own daughter and her friends who, as you guys pointed out, have saved the day on multiple occasions. They won enough respect to be given bridge shifts, but not enough to, represent the ship on the news.
well, this was a
Section
section
31. Really?
31. No, yeah, fair enough. We got the FNN podcast with the triple reveal, so let's go. Yeah, you're damn right on that. We did, and look, all I'm saying regarding Marion, yeah, you make some very valid points. I don't think there are far worse people to work under than her, in
Yeah.
my opinion. Like I think she's not perfect, but we have seen her use, like, like for instance, that one episode where the bridge crew had to swap with lower decks, and the lower decks had to be the bridge crew, and then they were lower decks, and it showed you how difficult it is to be on the bridge, for the lower decks crew, because there was massive decisions to be made, whilst the bridge crew was having a fun time being on lower decks, and it was
Mm-hmm.
almost like a mini vacation for them. So that alone makes you realize how difficult a job it is to be the captain of a ship, and just always making sure that you're making the right decision to a degree. And sometimes you might make the wrong one, but long as it's not life or death devastating, it can be rectified. So yeah, in this particular case, hopefully this situation could be rectified. And it's a daughter as well. It's a lot difficult. Like, this is not a regular person who's working with her. It's her flesh and blood.
Yep.
And she's also like being given orders by her husband or ex-husband, who's the admiral. I'm not sure if it's her husband or not, or ex-husband. I can't tell. You know,
Some kind of relative, I think, if I remember right.
no, it's her husband, but we
Yeah.
don't know if it's her ex-husband. With there's a bit of a distance between them because of their work. They can't be a family. You see
Yeah.
families in Star Trek like James O'Brien, Miles O'Brien, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
O'Brien. Miles O'Brien, for instance, and his wife, and obviously Cisco as well before he lost his wife, and his sons there as well. So
So, yep.
yeah, exactly. So anyway, I'm yabbering on. I do apologize.
No
Okay.
apologies are necessary. You or Kara, no need to apologize. We're here to discuss, not do
I don't know
things.
about Section 31. No.
Uh,
I don't know about that. I
I
don't
think they're gonna
Yeah.
do something with that next week.
think so.
Well, we
I
had
don't
that
think
last
that,
week though, didn't we?
or
With Boimler's twin.
that might
Yeah,
wait till season 4 to bring up. But
I'm
we
not
get
too
the
fussed
ending of
about
the
section. Yeah.
the captain, she tries to get Mariner back, but it's too late. We see more of how awful Starbase 80 is. They've got a bat flying around inside.
Wicked father.
Their
Oh
comms
yeah,
are
yeah.
down occasionally.
I told you, some kind of relative.
No. Look, hold on. Okay, Kara, I do know who
That's fine.
Marina's father is. The admiral who was on today's episode is not Marina's father. I am aware of that. I mean, we've seen him in the earlier episodes
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But because he is the admiral and he's got a cushy desktop job on Earth, in a way, he puts all the responsibilities on Freeman. And because Freeman and Marin and Admiral Mariner have different names, it looks like she might have taken her maiden name back, which is why I think they might be divorced.
That or she just never changed her name
Oh yeah,
and they're still
I guess.
together.
Yeah. I guess we're progressive enough to do stuff like that nowadays in the 24th century.
Um, so Captain Freeman's mournful when she can't call her daughter back to the Cerritos because she's resigned from Starfleet.
Yeah, she
And
did.
and as we all thought, the subplot from episode 3 where they met the lady from the Independent Archaeologists Guild. She leaves with her to go, try to find some and hopefully not wake up mummies uh,
Yeah.
on an archaeological dig. Um,
But they have twice, she said.
so a lot
It
of
looks like there's
stuff with
already a relationship building there between them two as
Yeah.
well, and we're not talking friendship. We're talking maybe romance as well. So I'm already feeling it. You know what I mean? So now, especially now that Marin is a free agent because Jen dumped her. So yeah,
no, there's a lot of so a lot of
sexual
main
tension
plot
between them
stuff
two.
there
Yeah.
is potential there.
Yeah, I went with her not changing her name. I know a woman who didn't change her name after I married because she got a medical degree with her maiden name. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, it's becoming more
Yeah,
common nowadays. And
that
obviously,
that's their
Hollywood,
professional identity versus
Hmm.
familial identity.
yeah, and plus in Hollywood, it's so common now. Like Demi Moore, when she was married to Bruce Willis, she never changed her name. It was always a common thing, for famous people to keep their maiden names.
It's
Even after
brand
marriage.
recognition.
Yeah,
They put a
exactly.
lot of work and time into building that brand.
So like like when Victoria Adams married David Beckham, and she changed her name to Victoria Beckham. At that time, I was like gobsmacked. I can't believe it. You know what I mean? She's changed her surname to Victoria Beckham. Like
Mm.
I've never heard of that. Especially her. Posh Spice. I thought she'd be the last of the five Spice Girls to fucking change her surname after getting married, but she did. And anyway, I apologize. Let's
No.
move on.
So what do you
Fucking talk
guys
about the
think?
Spice Girls. Sorry. About what, mate?
I was about to say that, do you think they're going to resolve this situation next week, or do you think they're going to wait till season 4 to get Mariner back on the Cerritos and get the status quo going again? Or do you,
Interesting.
I
um,
genuinely don't know. Like you can afford to have one episode without Mariner the following week, unless they do the subplot of following Mariner and her adventures. But we only got one episode left. These episodes are like 25 minutes long. It is amazing how what they cram in 25 minutes, but still like there's just more to come, obviously, and
Start
I think
cramming.
this like you can't resolve. Like you just feel like what she's doing now she's no longer part of Starfleet. There's a lot more to come from that, and if it gets resolved next week, I don't know how I would feel. Like if she ends up being back on the Cerritos by next week, that might be a nip in the bud into a bigger storyline, if you know what I mean.
Anything's possible. Or they could keep her on that ship and go check the mummies and have a couple episodes and wind back on a starship again.
Well, remember like what happened with Boimler, for instance. Like he went to the Titan, and before we know it, he was already back on the Cerritos.
like
Yeah,
second episode of season 2, he was back.
yeah.
They like to
So
get back to the status quo. That's more of a default kind of setting for or thing to do on an animation. You don't want to change things about and mess with the formula and the chemistry of the dynamic of a group of characters. You remove one piece from that puzzle, and all of a sudden the group's dynamic is going to be a little different.
Mhm.
Well,
Mariner's always the instigator for the most part of whatever shenanigans they get into.
Right.
So,
well, no,
but
I think Mariner will she'll eventually hear from the Cerritos that they made a mistake and they're sorry and they should never have got rid of her. Now she'll probably not want to come back to spite her mum, but when she sees Boimler, Tindy, and Rutherford, that might make her want her to come back because those, as far as she's concerned, that's her real family.
that's her
You
found
know,
family.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
And she said a very poignant thing about, the found family and biological family. Oh,
actors also use made-up names for SAG cards, which can't be
Right.
changed at times. Well, for instance, Michael Keaton. You know what his real surname is?
Mm.
Michael Douglas. So you can
Oh,
understand why he changed his name to Michael Keaton. You know, even Bruce Willis's name is not really Bruce Willis, but
yeah.
anyway, I don't know how Mariner, like Nick Cage, his name is not Nick Cage. I don't know how Mariner could be brought back. Her so-called friends hurt her. Great, yeah, like her acquaintances on did hurt her, but at the same time she has, and obviously the relationship with Jen might not ever be repairable, but she
I
still
mean,
has some
Kara
proper
has a
friends.
good point. Her
Mm.
friends
Yeah,
didn't give her the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
They made the same assumption as everybody else.
well, apart from Tindy, Boimler, and Rutherford, they had Mariner's back the whole time. Please don't make it a holodeck episode, please God. I think we've already had a holodeck episode, where they were like it was the Boimler episode where he was captain and they were going on an adventure and then he ended up following some guy he put his fat flaps together and it made a
Yeah,
map and all that.
that was
So they
last
had
week.
they had the holodeck episode already. So yeah.
All right. Well,
So,
do we have results in from chat about a ranking?
okay, let me quickly tell you what the chat is saying. We have uh, 14% at 1 to 5, 29% to 6 to 7, 57% between 8 and 9, and 0% for 10.
Okay. Um, I guess we'll start with overall thoughts and marks. Zam, do you have anything else to add about this episode you wanted to discuss, or just overall impressions you didn't get to in the beginning?
Well, once again, just curious to see how they're gonna end this. If whatever happens with Mariner plays a part, if the finale doesn't have Mariner at all, I have no problems with that. It's just one episode. Um, and then obviously we'll find out what she's been doing. Like, yeah, once we do season 4, which is inevitable, but this show's fucking amazing. Um, maybe we will do a time lapse. So like whatever Mariner's been doing, she's been doing for a while, and like adventure hunting, like Indiana Jones in space and all that sort of shit. So yeah, we might have that next season. So,
Mm.
but yeah, it could be interesting to see how we finish the final season. Like, uh, like the last episode usually has to go out of a bang, but they can always take a leaf out of Orwell's book where they went out with a
They have a
smile.
breather. Yeah.
Well, no, the wedding episode was a fantastic final episode without it being, explosions and shit like that. But which people like to think that what every final episode needs to be of a season. Not all the time. You can mix it up. You can end the final episode really well with happiness and charm and without necessarily leaving a cliffhanger. I mean,
Right.
we've already got the cliffhanger with Mariner. We don't necessarily need a cliffhanger for the end of the season. This is the cliffhanger. We can continue with that next season. This season can just end in whatever way possible. Maybe a nice way, a friendly way. Considering we had a dour ending, a nice ending would be a good way to end season 3.
You don't
I'm gonna
think
get
they'll touch
sorry.
back on the thing they've mentioned several times this season, the bold Boimler?
Ooh.
Um, the Bob Boim. Oh, I mean, we're always going to get a bit of Bob Boimler here and there. I mean, that's his art, but I
But
don't
it
think it's that.
seems to be.
I don't
It
think it's
seems to
that.
be setting it up for that to bite him in the ass.
I don't think it's that prominent. It's just him
That would
being,
hurt.
like I just think it's just, what when we when, if people ever look back at this series and they go to season one and then they see him at season three, he's two different people. Then maybe to a degree with Mariner, like she was maybe a lot more. How do we say? Um, God, the word escapes me right now. But people could rely a lot more reliable, and more assertive, and she followed orders a lot more in this season than she did in previous
Hmm.
seasons. So all of these sort of things. So yeah, that's just character development and stuff like that. I don't think Boimler's being Bob Boimler is going to be too much of a big deal. And as I said earlier, I think that the cliffhanger is what's happening with Mariner, and we've already got that with this episode. So next week, hopefully, won't also leave us a cliffhanger. It will just leave us a fun. It will just be a good way to end the season before we continue with season four. I'm going to mark this episode, if you don't mind.
Oh, go for it.
Uh, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I
Okay.
really really like this episode. There was
Cool.
like I always get impressed when you can cram a lot in 25 minutes,
Hmm.
and they did.
It didn't
There was
feel rushed either.
it didn't feel rushed. We got the main plot with the drug dealers episode, with the drug dealer planet, and all of that, and as well as not just, sorry, I call it the drug dealer planet, but just to see an insight of what's happened with those guys, even though it's been 17 years, it was really good to see what's happened, and that was nice. Breen coming in there out of nowhere, a fucking a
Hmm.
drone ship, and all of that. The reporter, the news articles, Mariner being misunderstood. People jumping to conclusions, finding out that everybody else was shit talking about about the Cerritos, and it wasn't Mariner. She was the only one who spoke well about it, and
Yep.
it makes sense when you think about it. Section 80 as well. We got that, a bit of that as well. Yeah, there was a lot in this episode, all crammed in 25 minutes,
Yep. Ton
and
to unpack.
it was very well done. Another fantastic episode. Made me laugh, made me think, and made my jaw drop as well at times. Yeah, 9 out of 10, well deserved. Let's go quickly before we pass it on. Let's just see what everyone else has to say. Daniel Vance, the ginger Greek of
4 out of 10.
of the chat room. One more bad episode in the season officially falls below five. A five for me. This is 4 out of 10. I'm ready for Prodigy, which I do like. That's by the way, cousin Tito hates Prodigy, and that's a shame. Kara who says, yeah, I give it an 8.5.
8.5.
I think
There we
I think
go.
I just worry about next week's episode. Don't worry about a thing, cause
'Cause
every
every
little
little
thing
thing
is gonna
gonna
be
be
all
all
right.
right.
And we're gonna get copyrighted now. Thank you very much.
Uh-oh.
Um, Daniel wants Mariner will become their search for Spock. I don't know about that. Maybe I thought we had our search for Spock moment to a degree with Rutherford, but I'm fine with Mariner learning, but others should learn too. Otherwise, it's not fair.
Yep.
Well, I don't know. Like, it's hard to say. Like, we found out like Rutherford learned that he used to be an asshole.
Hmm.
In a
We
way.
got more Tendy's backstory this season.
Yeah,
Boimler's
exactly.
trying to
Like,
change himself. I think we're seeing character
yeah, like,
development out of all four.
Tindy's moment as a science officer where she interrupted that, and she stopped the Cerritos and Starfleet from being conned because of her interruption. Remember, like the stone people and all of that, and the scientists who are working on that planet, and people were turning into stone. Come on, and she became a science officer for a little while, and then there was a meeting between the Cerritos crew, and anyway, the point is that Tindy saved the day, and there was some good
Yeah.
characters. Anyway, yeah,
Um,
9 out of 10.
Commander
Fantastic.
Boone, final thoughts and ranking?
I would go with Zam. I mean, he said a lot, and it's pretty much some. I had some things here and there, but pretty much the same thing. I mean, it was a. To me, it was an interesting episode. A lot of stuff they crammed in there. Man, it was a lot of cramming in that sucker. Of things about the next gen that was there that I really did appreciate because that brought back a lot of memories of the first season of the next generation. So I would give it a 10.
Wow.
Give it a big 10. It was a great episode. I kept listening over and over again. Like I said, I listened to it 10 times in my headset. I watched it this morning before I left for work, and I watched it again when I got home from work. So I
All
really
right,
like
Cara, I'm going to bring up my big fat birds now. First of all, here is Juicy. Juicy's a big fat girl,
Gone.
and she's got and here's Brutus, the big fat boy, and he's
Same thing.
as well. I opened the cage, I was like, "Get me the fuck out of there!"
Back to you, Age.
Yeah.
You know, I've made no secret about how I feel about continuity and
Yeah.
serialization in Star Trek, but I feel like Lower Decks does it the best out of any of the new Trek. It finds a nice happy balance.
Mhm.
That being said, this episode was heavy on the continuity, wrapping up one of our, you know, overall season arcs for Mariner, but they did it well. The episode didn't feel rushed despite having a ton going on in it. They didn't do a superfluous beef plot to distract us from what was really going on with this. Um, the it's a little too self-referential for my taste, but it was cleverly written. I didn't see the twist coming at the end. I'm not going to go as high as you guys. I'll give it a solid 8.
That's good.
It does serialization and continuity well. I would prefer to see more of a gag oriented cut back to the status quo every episode, but
Yep.
it's a necessary evil. It's not going anywhere. It's part of modern television, an overall season arc, but they're doing it wonderfully. Can't wait for
You
next
can
week.
get her right now.
To be honest, I did enjoy the episode. The only reason I didn't give it a 10 is because I wanted to reach into the television and smack Freeman around the head, but I'll reserve judgment. Fair enough.
That's what I was laughing about earlier.
So,
Slapping her
Okay.
up. Man.
Well, that's our marks. We want to thank everybody who joined us in chat tonight. Want to thank everybody who's watched along live or that comes by and checks out the video later. We'd be nothing without your support, and we appreciate you coming. If you're into nerd stuff, then this is the channel for you, and you should definitely subscribe and hit that bell icon. We talk about tons of different content, from fantasy to sci-fi, Trek and Star Wars. We do sports entertainment. We talk about, we've got just so much stuff, Marvel and DC. Zam, you want to break down the schedule for the next few days for the viewers?
well, I am 1 second. She wants my mouth. Yeah, I am. I am actually watching some documentaries for NerdTube, to fill in some of the gaps that we've been currently having now that some of the programming is finished, like She-Hulk and Lord of the Rings. For instance, myself and my colleague Dixie, who's part of the channel, we both watched the documentary called Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey, which came out a few weeks ago, but we only reviewed it recently, and it's on our channel. It's about the fundamentalist Mormon religion, if you're into stuff like that. And myself and Dixie being a Satanist and myself being an atheist, we both did talk about it and gave our opinions. And currently, I'm watching a documentary now on Jeffrey Epstein. So I will, once I finish watching that, I will review it for the channel. If you guys are interested, that's something you should watch, by the way. Daniel March is on Netflix. The Jeffrey Epstein documentary. I've already watched the first episode. I'm going to try and watch the rest of it during the course of the week, and then have a review maybe hopefully by Sunday. And of course, I will also be reviewing the final episode of House of the Dragon, as well as on Tuesdays, myself and Commodore will be reviewing the final episode of Quantum Leap. But even though more episodes will be coming soon,
Yep.
but at this particular moment, it will be the final episode. And then we'll be reviewing Andor on Wednesdays, and then next week will be the final episode of Lower Decks. But we do know more programming is coming. So shows like Willow is on the horizon. We'll be reviewing that for NerdTube as well.
Looking forward to that.
Titans as well. Season 4 is coming out. We'll be reviewing that as well. Cousin Cheeto mentioned that there'll be a Dragon Ball tier list coming out. So, we're keeping things varied, and it won't be long until we're in November, and we'll be talking about WWE Crown Jewel. There's just so much to come.
Me and Cheeto are trying to get a Final Fantasy 16 trailer reaction going for sometime this weekend.
Oh.
So yeah, lots of different stuff always in the pipe.
And of course, with Lower Decks ending next week, Prodigy will have the baton passed on to them, and that will be the new Star Trek content in the future. So so the Trek stuff will also keep on coming as well. Thank you very much, Karahu. We love you too. Great. I'm glad you're feeling better, and I'm hoping that we can be some sort of medical alternative for you by putting a smile on that lovely face of yours.
Yep.
And Daniel Vance, cheers for spending some time with us. Yes,
yep.
I also double that. All right.
It's great time. Great time up here.
Guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you guys have a great evening. Everyone watching along, have a wonderful night. Thank you for joining us. You've been watching NerdTube, the best channel that you've maybe kind of sort of heard of. Live long and prosper.
Have a good one.
May the force be with you.